RTFC.baconicecream.com.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Evercast, your weekly dose of Evercade goodness. I'm one of your hosts, Rich, here with Bat Joker.
It's the Batman that laughs.
It's the Batman that laughs.
I love that you didn't tell us you were going to do that.
That was awesome. And also Crow here. What's going on? We've got Ed Retro
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Oh man, we're kicking off awesome today. It's a good time. That's a good time. How's everyone doing? Doing all right?
Good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Another crazy week went by here.
Well, you don't even know
sure.
the hat from it. You knew that my computer died. What you didn't know was that the day after I fixed it, my car died.
Oh no! Oh, what a week, man!
I ran out to lunch really quick. I run into the Amazon Fresh and I come back out 5 minutes later. Car won't start.
Wow. Was it just a battery or alternator?
It was just a battery. But what was funny was I had my father-in-law come over and jump me, and I drove him straight home.
Yeah.
And then I when my wife got home and later in the day I had her jump my car again. I took it to the Advanced Auto Parts.
Yeah.
And then they took a look and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to replace your battery because of where your battery is. It's going to be too much trouble."
Wow,
Dude.
That's like, oh, I hate to leave you. Like, okay, well, you know what I can do? I can have you jump. I can jump your car so you can head back home. But the car wouldn't start at all.
Oh no.
Jump the car.
I feel like there's some places that if your car is like older than like 2013, they just don't want to touch it. I mean, for me, that's why like I'll take my car to the dealer for that reason. Even though sometimes it might be more expensive, but yeah, I'm like that's BS. I'm like y'all are mechanics, right?
Car's 5 years old.
That's nuts.
Yeah, still
Wow.
they should be able to.
That's real.
Well, I
That's
said,
crazy.
and then I talked into the guy, and I was like, "Look, if I get this home and I can get the battery out, looks like I could just tilt the battery and get it out." And that guy's like, "Well, let me try," and he was able to do it.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for
Yes,
all your
thanks, Dan.
support.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Dan and the rest of the chat, let's jump in, say hi. We got Andrew Joseph in here. Of course, we do have Dan. We got Ballistic Hoppy Boy. We got Douglas in here. What else we got? Skeletrax, hello. How's it going? Welcome back. RMGB TV. DJ's in the house. Arnold Baracus is in the house. Lloyd R. Jim is in the house. Jason Shires is here. Deez is here. What's going on? How's it going? Crimson Cross is in the house. And Alistair Lowe. Hello. Hello and welcome everybody to another fine episode. Yeah, I mean everything's been going on. All sorts of crazy stuff has been going on. Like here I am. I literally just physically put together the laptop again so I can turn it on and do the show. That all happened this morning. I'm still waiting for my RMA for the hard drive that unfortunately went away. I think I even did some testing over at the shop over in my office, and I don't know. I don't think that thing is coming back. I think it's gone. But
I'm writing that down. Evercast superstars. Sorry. I love that. I love
nice. That. Thanks, Deuce. And hello and welcome. I saw Snake Eater jump in here. Good morning. How's it going? And Kid Guzzy, how's it going? Greetings from Ormond Beach. Hey, what's up?
So
What's up
when we're talking about stuff in our lives, so like here's how you know when you're starting to get old, and by old, I'm 43. So I think I may have mentioned, like my daughter's in color guard. We're like, the halftime show, like at football games, where like they like do the flags and like the flip the rifles in the air. Anyways, so she had like an out of town game that's like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and so usually that me and my wife will watch it on stream, which is pretty cool. And the school bus is taking there and back. But how you know you're old is she didn't get back like until like around like at least like one, like after 1 a.m. And like I took like a 3-hour nap that day, like after work, but I was like still tired. So by the time, because we have to get there like at least like an hour earlier to wait because like there's limited space in the parking lot. I probably didn't fall asleep until 2, but I was like, man, and then woke up this morning and like thank God coffee's legal. That's all I have to say. But yeah, that's when you're getting old. Like when you're in your 20s or something, man, I wouldn't have even had to go to sleep, although I would have been too young to have a kid. But yeah, you know what I mean. So,
no, it's all good.
My personal, other than the usual like busy work, nonsense stuff. Yeah, that's when you're getting old.
Yeah, no, I had one of those moments actually the other day. I think it was like Thursday night or something like that. It was just a really long day. It was work, go home, get stuff prepped for dinner, eat dinner, go to a board meeting, spend like 2 or 3 hours there, come back home, put the kids to bed, and then I'm like I was trying to watch the game, because it's Thursday night football, right? So I was checking in on the game, and there's 2 times I was I was having a snack and looking at my phone, because I watch football on my phone, and then I would like blink, and I'd wake up and it was like, whoa, what happened in the last quarter? Oh, I don't know, whatever. And I just look at the game again. I blink and it's like over. It was like, wow. I couldn't even keep conscious.
Man,
maybe that's only if you have kids.
Maybe.
Maybe. Douglas said it gets worse.
It gets worse.
Thank you.
Oh man, yeah. No, I do feel that it is the wave. I think has finally it is gone. Like we're good at the work situation anyway. Where the beginning of school happened, we had testing happen, we had all that stuff happen. I was like, all right, good, we're good. And I think next is like I can do them all my daily tickets and projects and stuff, and we'll actually have some time, hopefully, to start doing things like shoot things for the channel here. But yes.
Weird that my brain was there. I've been summoned, but it's a new one. So.
All right. Well, let's see.
Retro KillDashNine. Retro KillDashNine.
Yeah, even dogs can do it too.
even the dogs are good in.
I thought a dog kind of sounds more like a wiki.
Action. Okay, I'm with it. Nice, very cool.
Before we jump into topics real quick, I have to share a link. Well, actually, it'll be shared as you because I'm too lazy to switch over. So some of you may have already seen my new short where I love my Evercade too much. I'm really proud of that, but I can't play it here because the dog nailed it. Because the music would give a copyright strike, and if you can't play it without because it loses this thing. But yeah, I filmed that by myself in our guest room with the tripod because I didn't want to have to explain anything to my wife or daughter. I mean, they know that I'm weird, but I didn't want them to think that I'm weird. But it's a pain in the butt because since you can only film with your phone vertically. I'm like, okay, I'm not in close enough. I just had to kind of get in there, and I just, put my bathrobe. I wasn't sure, how do I do this? Do I show myself under the covers? I'm like my bathrobe, and
Yes, it's fun. How long did it take to make that short? Just out of curiosity, was it just as long to film it?
I'm messing around. I mean, So first of all, here's the funny thing: is while I was doing it, I was sweating my butt off because it's hot here in Texas, and you don't really need to wear a bathrobe. Maybe less than 30 minutes, maybe 20. Because I kind of had to get in the setup, and I had to get different angle. I had to get different angles to get it right, and then that's when I kind of cut it together. But what's funny because it's you have to hit record and then kind of jump behind and then get get into position. But that one I did all through the YouTube app. I didn't have to take it into Premiere.
I don't think I've made all the shorts I've made. I never used the YouTube app. I've always edited every single one of them.
You did it all in Premiere?
The one I put up yesterday that was supposed to be done last week. It took me over 2 weeks to make it because I kept getting sidetracked with other stuff, and then
I may need your family may need therapy. They don't know about that. Yeah. No. I think on purpose. My wife doesn't like. She knows what I like. She knows what I do on my YouTube channel, but she doesn't watch it.
Yeah.
She does. She doesn't. My mom does and gets a kick out of it. Actually, what's funny because she saw that she said she cracked me up. She's like, "You maniac!" That's hilarious. But see, with me though, when I do something like that, you want to film and get different angles, and there's some stuff that you may not use. But I'm torn because some stuff I like to put into Premiere, but I kind of feel like shorts you really shouldn't think about too much. It should kind of be spur of the moment. So if I can be lazy and do it all on my phone.
See, now it's wrong. That I got the exact opposite thing. I have to think about it and let it think about it for a couple days, and then before I actually start doing it.
Well, you can do that too. I mean, like for me, like the song, like that song that's in there. I admit I have it on my, I have it on my random playlist, and then I kind, how would that be kind of like funny? And then you can like cut the certain parts.
What's funny is I knew what video was. I just haven't seen it yet.
No, but yeah. So everybody hit up that link and check it out later. Because that'd be kind of cool. All right, awesome. So today's episode is all about people that are finding the Evercade ecosystem and community, because there are new people that have been finding us through various means over the past couple of weeks. I've been getting a lot of comments from people that say specifically, "Hey, I just started looking at the Evercade. The news about maybe the Capcom thing or EXP. Yeah, that shirt is awesome. It's really cool. I want to find out more. I stumbled on this channel. I watched this episode about cool topics. I think it's awesome. How about some more stuff?" So I figured because of today's episode, Pete's on the road. He's away. So I figured, you know what? Let's just do a nice Evergreen episode. Talk about Evercade as if it was talking to somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with Evercade, doesn't know what Evercade is, and then give some recommendations, and then actually pull you guys into the chat direct and start getting some recommendations from you guys, from the people that are watching right now, that have been with us from the very beginning. What do you guys think about that? So we'll be getting into that in a little bit. So
he's got a box.
We're gonna kick off this segment. We're just simply calling Evercade for Beginners. So, as Crow's doing a live box opening, what's up?
So
I want to see what's in here.
Yeah, I know. I like this.
He's like, I want to see what's in here.
All I know what's in here is food.
Oh, it's
if
food?
it's food, you have to share. Hope you brought enough for everybody in the chat.
I don't know what's in here.
What's in the box?
I know we're all distracted.
Like a bunch of food.
Oh, nice. Well, hey,
but that's how we roll. Okay, so I
have to look at the manual to see what's in here.
Manual for food.
Yes.
Stop making me hungry before lunch. So I think before we can recommend games, I think we should talk about like what should you like as far as like for a console, like what you should buy.
Sure.
And I'll give or do you want to give your or I'll give my thoughts unless you want to give your thoughts.
Well, I mean, there's a question right in the chat that actually might spin off this conversation from Andrew Joseph, and that is, why should someone buy an Evercade? Got a RetroPie or similar. What is the reason? So that's a great first question. Like, why Evercade, right?
Why not? So, okay. I'll it's like Crow's distracted. I'm dying to jump in. So
I'll let you go. I'm waiting.
Yeah, jump on in.
Okay. So I think there's a few. So there's here's what. Okay, let me start off. Here's what Evercade is not. And I think this is important. So
it's not a bologna sandwich.
So if you're looking to just like play like mainstream like retro games, or if there's certain games that you have in your head that you want to play, it's not for that. Like there's other platforms out there. It's not like one of those Chinese handhelds that you can like load on ROMs or anything else. So it's none of that. But what it is though is it's for people who, I want to say, love retro and indie games, and now computer games and arcade games, like in general. Like if you love the whole retro stratosphere, and you want something like you don't want it like, okay. For me, what I like about it is like the plug and play ability. Like you're not messing around with emulators, you're not loading up ROMs. It works right out of the box, regardless of what product it is. You plug it in, you get to play it. There's not like a ton of extra settings and everything. You know, it's simple, it's there. So if you want to play retro games, and I guess I could have said the first, and then there's the second awesome aspect, and that it's physical media. There's no updates, there's nothing to load. You pop in the cart.
No. There are updates.
Okay, very
Sometimes.
few. Okay, sometimes. Okay, very few. Like there's some carts that they've gone ahead and fixed, but it's not like, I don't know if you ever have this problem where you just want to like jump on your PS4 or something, you know, play a game, and then there's like updates, or you have to update the firmware because you want to post your high score, you know. So for the most part, there's very few little updates, and you get physical media, so the collectability is nice. So it's like, hey, you want something that's plug and play. You want to play on a modern console, but that's built for retro games, and you don't want to deal with all the nonsense. You don't want to deal with DLC, and you want to start something to collect, and they're like $20 each. So for me, it's like it's a great way, I think, to get into retro gaming. And the other two awesome parts are discovery, right? I can't tell you how many times I bought in a cart. And like like the Namco collection, like yes, I may have gotten those like for Pac-Man and Splatterhouse, but I'm like, what's Warpman? You know, that's like a great example. Like you find all these other cool games that like you don't know about. So for me, like I see, and then there's the community, which is fantastic. Like for me, I see Evercade as a service, but with physical media, if that makes sense. Meaning you get an awesome curated collection. It's affordable. You know, you essentially get a new cart every month or every 2 months. And it's a different experience. So if you're just wanting to play games, yeah, you can play ROM on your computer. But if you want the experience, you want the collectability, you know, you want the plug and play, you want to meet interesting, weird people like us, that's. I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but that's
it's all good, right? But it's your answer, right?
Yeah.
Which is the point. That's the point of this whole endeavor, is to get everybody's opinion on everything, you know, from the start, from the scratch.
Oh, dude. like that's a good point. Like he discovered in television. Like
Right.
that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
He discovered it through. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what about you, Crow?
Well, firstly, the thing that made me pull the trigger was it was cheaper than I thought. Really, I would recommend it for somebody who wants to collect something. I mean, yeah, you could collect like PS5, PS4 games and whatnot, but again, what you're getting isn't really what those systems are kind of built where they want you to download the stuff and not really buy the physical version. Because you buy that stuff, you put the disc in the system, and what's it going to do? It's going to copy everything over to the hard drive anyway and run it off the hard drive. Either that, or it's not even going to use any of the information on the disc at all. Just re-download the game anyway. But again, if you want something to collect, for me, it's just like a hobby, you know. So you want something to collect, you know. There's not too many of these cartridges coming out per year, and they're pretty cheap, so it's not too difficult to actually get a full collection. And then there's a lot of games that you may remember from the past, when there's also new games. You know, even if you know every single game that existed in the past, there are always all these indie games that are popping up. Now you're getting, you know, the arcade games in a physical cartridge as well, which I don't know if that has actually existed before outside of those, you know, devices that you buy, the all-in-one devices. Just to having a cartridge with the arcade games on it, I don't think that's existed before. Well, no, I take that back. I now that I'm thinking about it, there have been arcade collections on other platforms. Right. So I guess you could scratch that.
But for a modern console, though, for a modern retro console, that's true.
Yeah, modern retro, yeah. But I mean, you can still get, you know, there's arcade collections on Switch, and you know, like PS4, PS5, Xbox. You know, like there are those arcade collections, but there's something different about it. The way I think that Blaze is actually presenting these games, I think is a difference maker, and also there's a difference in each one of those carts. But okay, I'll kick it back to you, Crow, if you want to.
I was just going to say that the devices themselves are pretty simple and straightforward. You're not going to deal with. not having analog sticks, some people may think that's kind of odd, but then you don't have analog sticks on the handheld device either. So it could be pretty much more compact. Because even the Vita, as much as I like the Vita, it's got those little nubs sticking out, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's in some of those times I miss that kind of stuff, but it really, when it comes to the Vita, you wanted the nubs because it did 3D games, right?
You were looking at I think they did it because a lot of people wanted to play like first person shooters,
right.
And to be honest, I never could play first person shooters with the analog sticks. That always seemed very weird to me. I've always played it with a mouse and keyboard. So
yeah.
But don't forget on the VS, it's BYOC. Bring your own controller if you want to play.
Yeah, there's that too. But if somebody was going to start out, I would recommend starting out with like the cheapest way possible, which would be the original handheld.
Yeah.
Especially, or you could wait till after the EXP comes out, and then maybe there'll be an influx of used original Evercade handhelds going out.
I'm sure that the secondary market's going to go bonkers. I think.
I have an opinion on that, but I want to hear what Rich has to. Point.
So, just to try, just from the beginning to get started, it was like $100, and I got the Evercade and 3 collections. And if you don't like it, you can sell it. You're not stuck with it.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I got for Christmas? It was like, I think with being shipped from Funstock, it was like $212, and that was the Evercade, the carrying case, and like the first 10. The first 10 games.
Yeah, they had that starter bundle. It was
and it was like half off, and then you got like the Namcos, which were a little more difficult to.
Yeah, back then it was really, really hard to find those.
Yeah.
So why Evercade for me? Anyone that's watched this show for any extended period of time knows that I've got a big giant drum that has the word Discovery on it, and I keep hitting it over and over and over again. It is Discovery 100% for me, because Evercade to me is the portal to the childhood I never had. It's a fully curated set of games that keep coming out that say, hey, Rich, remember that game? It's like, oh yeah, I never got to play that one. Oh yeah, well, here's like 8 more that you never heard of. And you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you dig into the collection and you find out even more. And then you get the next collection, and again, it's like over and over and over again. I'm getting introduced to, not even just introduced to games that I've never heard of. They wind up playing, and they wind up being a blast. And it's awesome. I completely welcome that, because I just want to discover stuff. I just want to just like hang out in this cool retro world and play games that I've never heard of. And a lot of them are really good. A lot of them are really, really excellent titles. So number one with that drum beat is Discovery for me. I'm with Crow as well. Affordability was one of the other things. As a matter of fact, when Pete first came to me and said, hey, are you getting an Evercade? Because I want to start a podcast, which wound up becoming the show. I said, well, I don't know. It's one of those things. I look at it, it's a retro handheld. Yeah, it plays all sorts of retro games, but I have like 10 different ways of playing it. Pete's response was like, yeah, that's true, but I think there's something different here, and I think they're trying to posit this in a different way. Just take a look at it, and take a look at the price. I bet you'd be surprised. And I was 100% surprised to so much that I wound up ordering right before the pre-orders ended. Right at the beginning. So yes. So it is Pete's fault. Yes. 100%. And it's been a fun ride. I never expected to get into, even a handheld again, because I've been console gaming for a long time, since the Vita, right? The Vita was the last handheld I really, really enjoyed. And I have a Switch, right? I never play it in handheld mode. It's always just docked. So I treat that thing like it's basically a VS, or a PlayStation or Xbox. Just plug it into the TV and play it that way. So I don't even consider it a handheld, even though it technically is, right? So the Evercade to me was that reintroduction to portable gaming. It's small enough, this handheld is small enough I can fit it into a pocket, and take it with me to places. It's also inexpensive enough where I'm not worried about breaking it when I take it to somewhere else, right?
Except the purple one.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, you have limited edition ones and all that kind of stuff. If I had one of those Founders, the black Evercade, I don't think I would take that one out either. But but the handhelds, like I said, I mean, they're inexpensive enough where you can catch a deal every once in a while, especially on the original handheld. And we can talk about this in a little bit. You know, you can get sub $60 sometimes, you know, for just the handheld and maybe one cart. But still, you can get sub $60 for that on some of these sales, and that's awesome, right? You get into this ecosystem for less than the cost of a regular game on PS5 and Xbox right now. You get a system and a game, and then you can just dive your way into all these different collections. The collections themselves, we even talk about that. The collections themselves are only $20.
Yes,
I mean, come on, you know, it's a great like impulse price.
It's priced right. Oh, so
yeah, I mean, for me anyway, you know,
something I want to add.
Disposable income, I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but I've got $20.
Yeah. So something I want to add to what you said, which I think is funny because, like, admittedly, I think I've talked about. So what lured me in initially was the fact that yes, Atari, like Namco, Data East, like those name brands, and then I think someone mentioned like the Lynx collection. So like it's funny because initially I did buy this like as a cheap way, like for nostalgia, and then I didn't know it at the time, but then everything else. And then the one thing I will say, like, as the Pringles saying goes, once you pop, you can't stop. Like for me, like now, like as long as they keep making them, I have to get them because it's the FOMO. Yeah. Like if I miss out, like 100%. If I miss out on the discovery, like I know what you mean. Like if I miss out on the discovery, you know, I won't forgive myself. But I think for me too, like it you know, because of that, like it goes hand in hand because I'm like, hey, I've got a YouTube channel, I can share this, and I need to, you know, it's like it's a good symbiotic relationship. Like it keeps me honest, you know, kind of into these things, you know, kind of going back and forth. But yeah, for all those reasons. Okay, so I do want to talk about like what like if like right now in 2022, if someone said, hey, what Evercade would you buy? I can tell you which model. Okay, so I can tell you what I would. Before
we jump into that, I just want to make sure that we can close the topic. Because the other part of this whole show, right, is pulling the chat in to get their responses. I want to make sure that we actually like talk about these because in case somebody's watching with headphones on, they're not watching the show right now because we don't have a lot of pretty graphics and stuff like that, or they're listening to what eventually will be this podcast entry onto things like Spotify and all that kind of stuff. I didn't forget about it. It's just I'm buried. Please bear with me. I want to make sure that we do some of these things. So other things that have been said by the chat, Ballistic Coffee Boy says save states is another reason, which is also very good. You know,
you know what you need to add though that everything else has? They need to add the rewind function.
Yes, the rewind function would be very cool. Very, very cool.
So you know what? I could probably do a whole I have mixed feelings on even save states and stuff like that. Because they can be convenient, but they can also make you worse at gaming.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I mean it's a convenient feature because you know, and if somebody doesn't know that the Evercade has that feature, then now they do, right?
Yeah, I think it should be. I think it should be there because it's the standard. And like literally when you buy something that's emulation, everything else has it.
Yeah, and Ballistic continues physical media, indie exclusives, varied collections, and Discovery, right? He's in the Discovery train, which is, you know, yes, very good times. It's a funny one to help contribute to Play Stuff Pension Fund. Yes, that's funny. How fun Ryan's 8th house. Okay. Deez has got a great point. Ease of use if you don't want to fiddle, the form factor, physical media, and the community. It all combines something to somehow you know, gives you all the nostalgia from the childhood. That's right? Because the community is a big part of it too, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because if you even do get one of those devices and you load up 100,000 ROMs on it, how do you decide what you're going to play?
Right.
With the collections, each collection is like when you're a kid, you didn't have access to every single game. You had access to a handful of games, and whether they're actually good or bad, that's what you played. You know, and so you know whatever we get on these cartridges, I'm gonna play whether or not it's good or bad.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and like Douglas is saying right here, you know, he was an Atari kid, never owned it in television. Ballistic also said that as well. It took 40 years, but I finally got to play 7800 games for Fan and Fiction. Like these, you're getting access to stuff that maybe you didn't have, right? To Crow's point. It's really, really cool stuff. Kid Guzzy here was basically out of video games for 20 years. I have a Vectrex and a 7800, bought a new Atari VCS 9 months ago, and enjoying it in Atari OS mode and PC mode. But Evercade is, again, that portal to that gap, right? If you stopped at 7800, there's still NES, SNES games, Mega Drive games, all sorts of stuff, and of course arcade stuff, right in there.
Exactly. And I think that's weird. Having limited library, it does make you appreciate. And I think we've touched on this, but the problem is with loading up like 5,000 ROMs is you have like the Netflix effect, or I like to say the dark side of the emulation is like now now what do I play? And like for me, that's another thing too. Is it's made it exciting again. You like on the charts, like especially like the Commodore 64. Yeah, I think I recognize one of those games. Literally nothing else I have played. And so like it's all about discovery. And even if there's some like bad games or games you don't like, that's okay too, because you still have the fun of discovery. So really it's a win either way,
Yeah, absolutely. And then Fan and Fiction, I love supporting small business like Blaze, get a good product in return. It's another great reason for just supporting in the retro space. Blaze is a relatively small organization, and yeah, I mean they're putting out awesome stuff, right?
You know what? That's maybe we should. That's one that we can talk about, like how as far as like how good of a company Blaze is, or maybe we can circle back to that. But I mean, in short, they have forward communication. This isn't a pre-order, right? And I think Sean, who was on on our show once or twice, I'm sorry, one or two episodes back, and I said like they have to have communicate, like everything is writing on it. They can't they can't just take a bunch of pre-orders. They're a real company. Their products exist or going to exist, and they have great customer service. And even the resellers, like Fun Stock, Video Games Plus, if you have something that's wrong with your cart, they'll send you another one. When you buy like a weird like knockoff like handheld, it's like that's it. You're at the you get what you get, and the community. And those a lot of the times the community has to make firmware updates, which is nuts. Like like Blaze or Ryan in particular has like been on top of that, like adding all kinds of good stuff, fixing stuff.
Yep.
It may take them a little bit longer because they're a small company, but like Arcade 1-Ups, like they rarely like will touch their firmware like after the fact.
But there's still games that haven't been fixed all the way back to the Atari collections.
Yes, there is some of those things that that are bugaboos for the community for sure. But overwhelmingly, though, I think and to continue on with both the chat and this conversation, James Wells' point, officially licensed and quality emulation. I'd say a good 90% of every one of these titles falls under there, right? Now we all have our things, right? Atari arcade.
Yes.
But overwhelmingly, these games are on point. They feel great. That was one of the first things going back to one of the very first episodes of the Evercast ever. We started talking about Atari 1, of course, because we started talking about all the collections from the beginning to now. And one of the first things that I noticed and played when I was playing Asteroids, right? That's a game that I remember. It goes right back to me with the joystick on the floor of the Atari room in my house, and playing for hours and hours and hours and hours. I know how that game feels, right? And I've played emulated versions of it multiple times on different devices, but for whatever reason, when I played it on the D-pad of the handheld, something just clicked, and it felt just like it did when I was younger. And that was what did it for me. What solidified it for me was like it, not only do the games that I don't know, to turn out to be awesome sometimes, but the games that I do know feel like they do when I played it back then, right? They just feel the same. And I don't know what important. It is. Any other emulator style, any other controller I play on different devices, it doesn't feel right, but it feels right here, and I don't know what it is.
Funny that you mentioned that.
Credit, though, I guess, to what they're doing with the emulation.
Funny that you mentioned that, because that's how I felt about like the Double Dragon 1 and 2, especially Double Dragon 2, because like in Double Dragon 2, you have like that weird kind of like line Like it's like I can't really. I don't want to. Again, it's not screen tearing, but it's just kind of like that, like the edginess. Like that was there, like on CRTs because it was built into the game. Like they didn't fix that. And what's interesting, like if you look at,
I think you mean just off to the edge of the screen.
Yeah, that edginess. I can't explain it.
That's not screen tearing. That was due to overscan. You never.
Yeah, overscan. Yeah, that's what I mean. I know. Yeah,
it was off the visible area.
But my point is they could have fixed it, but they kept it there. And I'm glad because like so just like really quick, there's a YouTuber by the name of like Game Mistress, who she's like fantastic. You got to check out. Anyways, she does a lot of comparison of like Sonic Origins and like the original one because she's like a super fan of that. And there are like differences, which is kind of weird. Like in some cases, they've made it easier to where Sonic's invincibility doesn't land on the sprites, or they've made like the backgrounds faster. Like it's straight, like or they changed like Dr. Robotnik, like his disco ball, they took away that effect. So it's kind of funny that like. And sometimes in these remastered games, like they fix things. Well, I say fix that you don't necessarily want them to. Like Blaze will leave it alone unless it's literally like a bug fix that'll prevent you from playing the game, or a bug. They'll do a bug fix if it'll prevent you from like save stating or something else. So that's all.
An interesting point with flashing. I know that Nintendo has their emulator set to where it removes that kind of flashing effect. But I don't know if Blaze would consider doing that. If we had flashing screens, if they would try to negate that in the hopes of preventing somebody's health issues from triggering.
Like the Cowabunga collection, I've heard, I don't know that, but I think you can turn that on. Like for something like dodgeball, like so you don't get all that. If it's a setting you could turn on and off, I think that would be cool.
Actually, you're talking about the slowdown in dodgeball.
Yeah, like it overclocks the emulator. Yeah.
What's funny is that there's actually a Kunio-kun and Double Dragon collection. I know it's for the Switch. I don't know if it's on what else it's on, but you could actually play those games as originally, like, and Super Dodgeball for the NES is one of those games, and you could play it as it originally was. You could originally play it on the NES, or you could play it overclocked, so nothing slows down or flickers. So you have that option with that collection. So those are the kind of things that I wonder if can be implemented sometime in the future. Like
that would be neat.
Yeah, that would be kind of a cool little thing. And I mean the devices are powerful enough to handle that kind of thing.
You know what they're waiting
in certain
for?
Circumstances anyway.
I think they were waiting to have a new handheld have Wi-Fi on it, so that way, no matter what device that you got, the VS or the handheld, they have the ability to update ROMs. I think that was kind of because there's some people who will only get one and will never get the other.
Yeah, and I think for sure that's the reason why the EXP exists, is because they knew what they could do after the VS came out. They're like, oh man, we could do all these cool things, but we can't do it with the original handheld. I think that's why the EXP came so soon afterwards.
Yeah. Also, when you think about it, I bet you when they first started with the Evercade, they didn't think they'd be doing PlayStation games, so they didn't have the double shoulder buttons.
Yeah, the double shoulder buttons is another key thing.
That would be the dream. That would be the dream. SNK.
Yeah, Neo Geo and SNK games. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like going in for the last couple, a lot of people are saying things about like the fact that all the games are licensed, and that's a good thing. Of course, you want to make sure that everyone gets supported, both developer and platform.
Well, wait. The people who have a lot of those licenses aren't the people that actually develop the game.
Well, that's true. Yes. Well, I mean, but, somebody somewhere. But it's all legal, right? That's where we're at.
Well, listen, my thoughts.
It's all legal. Yes.
My thoughts on media, and this has to do not just limited to games or movies. Like, if there's a way that you can buy it and give whoever owns the rights to it money, then you should do so. But if there's like some obscure game or something else that's like there's no way to buy it, sure, emulate it, whatever, or some like old movie that you want to see that didn't make its way to DVD, sure, download it, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and DJ's comment here about the fact that it kind of reminds him of Atari 2600 physical cartridges and a manual. I mean, the part of getting physical isn't just here's your cart with the games on it. You do get full color manuals. It's got cool little things in there, and they're doing bigger and better things as they go along, which is really neat. You get like cool little tidbits in there now. You get tips.
And you know what? And you know why that is, Rich? It's because Evercade does what Nintendo don't. Sorry.
Yeah, because
Well, it's funny. It's funny back when you think about we got those games with the manuals, and a lot of people never read the manuals But then when they stopped putting the manuals in the game, people were complaining that they didn't have manuals. I think it's more of they're just putting the game out without putting any effort into it. It's just like, okay, we'll just put it on a cartridge, put it in a case, throw it on a shelf just to say we have a physical version of it.
Yeah.
See, a lot of companies will do that. Like they'll literally just like, like I've seen it with some like, some of those older games available on Steam. Like they'll literally just port it and like use a MAME emulator behind the front end and not add anything. You know what I mean? Like you won't get any filters, you won't get anything. It's just like it's a lazy port of it. So yeah, Blaze definitely goes the extra mile because that's their business.
Yeah. So, interesting question here from Nick the Toy Collector. Do these cards? I mean, we're talking about how awesome the cards are, and to go get them, right? But do these cards go out of print, or do they stop making them, thus becoming rare? That has happened now 4 separate times, right?
Well, it's a trick question because every cart eventually goes out of print.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, I was going to say there's two because there's it's better now more with retailers, but it used to be like sometimes they'll produce X amount of carts and then it's difficult to get anything. And sometimes like for me, like when I really wanted to get like the Tanglewood Xenocrisis cart, like I actually had to get that like off of Amazon from a second part. It was like $25, but yeah. But so but it's gotten better now. But there are some like it's due to licensing, right? Like the Data East collection, both of the Namcos.
I looked it up. Namco Collection 2 is on at least US Amazon right now for like $20.
Yeah. But I think the point is like, well, it's like Blaze said, hey, like our license is like, we're not going to print anymore for right now. So like there's still like maybe there could still be like 10,000 of them floating out there, but at some point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So once those licensing deals end, I mean the stock that they printed out that last run, and then they're not going to print anymore. But just so you know, the four carts that we're talking about are Namco Museum 1 and 2. Those are direct licensing issues. Technos, which is also a licensing issue, the regular Technos collection, not Arcade 1, but Technos Collection 1, and the Oliver Twins collection, which actually was produced initially, I think, as a limited release for a charity, and then they ran their run, and who knows? Maybe you'll see, because they have a good relationship with Codemaster, you might see those games come out again in a different way, but we don't know.
Well, they could actually say, hey, you know what? There's a demand for this old cartridge, and then get the license again, relicense it, and just start producing the cartridges again for as many as they want.
Yeah, I mean, but that is an interesting.
Nothing is ever set in stone. Nothing is ever set in stone.
So hey, real quick, what Douglas said, he says if I keep teasing the Nintendo, wouldn't that would maybe be like an ultimate summon? Maybe I could like summon Sega or something. You know what? I might have to do a line of shorts like Evercade does with Nintendo.
Just to summon Sega to come in.
Yes.
I mean, why not? Right?
I love that idea. Yeah.
I mean, well, but the thing is, like, we need more Master System games, actually, which was the point there. There are 2.
What is it?
There are 2 out
there.
There's Go-Trist, which is a game on the VS, and then Speedball 1, which is on the Bitmap Brothers Collection 1.
I couldn't think of the second one because I haven't actually played those hidden games yet.
So, so let's get in. I mean, this chat is just annihilating me right now, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is such an awesome chat here. But let's get into that question, right? So as far as hardware goes, you're a beginner. Someone comes up to you, you just had this conversation about Evercade, and they're like, you know what, I'm in. Which one do I buy?
That really depends. Do they want to play it on a TV or do they want to play it as a handheld?
Well, there we go, right?
And if they want to play it as a handheld, do you want to spend the extra money and wait for the XP, or do you just want to, dip your toes in and get the regular Evercade, knowing that potentially future cartridges won't work on it?
Right. And then the fact that eventually this year there will be one other firmware update for the original handheld, and then they're going to send it off to the West and the ship.
But I thought
wave to it.
I thought Ryan said though that they would still do bug fixes, just no new features. Like if it, like
correct,
if there's a,
yeah.
like, if, like if there's a new part,
updates and breaking things. Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
like if there's a new cart that comes out that's like really popular and people want to play it, and if they make a stink, then I have a feeling they'll be like, yes, you know what I mean? Like there'll be an update, but yeah, there won't be like any new features or.
I mean, obviously they would want to be able to have the cartridge play on all their devices, but
Right.
what if there's a collection that requires, because the Evercade VS and the new Evercade EXP have more powerful hardware than the original Evercade? What if it simply doesn't even run on the original Evercade?
Right. That's the thing, right? And because there is a processor difference between the original handheld and then the EXP and VS, which have this almost identical processors, you're absolutely right. If they unlock something that they can use as a feature in the VS and EXP, the other device might not just be capable of running that title. So
you know what the way around that is?
I don't think it would be
factor in.
I don't think it would be any of the console collections, because obviously the original handheld can handle everything up to the PS1. I don't think they'll ever go beyond that, unless maybe PS2. I don't know, but
I mean, the
arcade
one for me would be like Saturn or something. Right?
Well, I don't even know. We'll see. Saturn. We'll see.
It's still 32-bit, right?
That's true, but it is more complicated hardware that would need to be emulated.
Right.
But again, what if we get arcade collections with that are more demanding? That
so
the original Evercade.
That's why they're phasing out the OG handheld, so it won't hold them back. All they have to do is just like on the back or front say compatible with Evercade VS and EXP. That's their, you know what I mean? Like they let people know up front.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that's going to happen. They'll have kind of tag on there.
So here's my reasoning. So like if this was a year ago and the EXP didn't exist, then I would tell people, hey, if you're a handheld gamer, buy the handheld. If you're a console gamer, get the VS. If this was a year ago,
the EXP didn't exist.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. If this was
we had no idea.
Yeah, this was a year ago. But so for me personally, I would tell you to go ahead and hold off and wait and get the EXP, unless you're just like hardcore. You want to you've got to have the console, because for me, like I go back and forth between playing handheld and playing on console. And by the way, you can plug in that mini HDMI and you can play it on your TV. But for me,
that's a good point, actually.
Here's the reason I bring this up. If Evercade just came out with just a console, I don't know if I would have bought it, because I forgot like the coolness and sexiness of the Evercade was, hey, this is a handheld. This is something that I can load ROMs on whatever, but like this is something I don't have. And with the Tate mode and the fact that it's priced very reasonably, and you get the Capcom games built into it and all that, which isn't on the VS, like I would recommend hold off and get that, because it's going to be new. It's going to be exciting. I know. Don't get the OG handheld unless you want it just to collect, because that's going to go. That's going to go.
Let's say the EXP comes out and you can get a used original Evercade, like extremely cheap, for like $40 or $50.
Nah. Would
you recommend people spend $150 on a new EXP?
Yes, because you're going to and I'll tell you why, because since I got the purple one, which is a handheld, which is, for those of you who don't know, they did a limited edition of 1,000.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see
it behind me there. And it's exactly the same, except the D-pad is a little bit more like the VS, and the screen is a little bit brighter. And I swear now, after I've been playing on that, I can't go back to the other one. And so maybe for those of us who are getting older, eyesight isn't as good. That's the other thing too, is you're getting having that better screen and the resolution's a lot bigger. Yeah, but it's like how you Pro special. But you know what, you're getting a better resolution, you're getting a better battery life. I think, for me, I think it's going to be more fun just to own and to have as a device. So
I don't think you can actually put a higher resolution screen, and I think it's just a better quality screen.
No, but they said that it's better. They said the it's a higher, instead of the 640, it's 800 by, I forget, it's a higher, it's a big.
I have to look at the details of that. I'm pretty sure I couldn't change the resolution of the screen when I put that in.
No, but this is a new design.
No, I think he's talking about in the EXP.
Yes,
the EXP is capable of a higher technical resolution.
Yeah. So it's going to look.
It'll still display at 720 though.
Yes. But it'll look crisper. I think it might fill more of the screen. But it's kind of one of the things where it's you get what you pay for. It's yes, you could get the OG handheld, and I'll always have love for that. But it's it's outdated compared to the EXP. Like this really brings it into the mod. Because here's the other thing with all the competitive handhelds and everything out there, you know, it brings it into the modern era for all those reasons. And you get Tate mode. So yeah, and I would say if it's an issue where due to your budget constraints, it'd be better to get the OG handheld than anything at all. But what I would say is like save up, wait till Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you celebrate, you know, whatever winter holiday you celebrate, and get the EXP. I think it gives you a better value because you can do more with it. And then at the end of the day, you can't plug it into your TV. I mean, the VS is still awesome and cool, but unless you're just like a console gamer where you have to have that, you know, that's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I think for me, you know, somebody walks up to me and says that, I mean, the budget conversation always comes in, but with that same caveat, right? You know, you can jump in right now, you know, legitimately, you can jump in right now and find either second hand on eBay or you know, in other places, an original handheld for very, very inexpensive.
You say that, but every time I look, I can never find one that's used.
I mean, I'm really good at the eBay game. So like I've found handhelds for like mega cheap. It's part of the reason why I actually have more than I probably should. I've got 3 of these. I've got 3 of these handhelds and the purple. But the purple was private sale. But anyway, that, you know, the reason I got the 3rd one was because it was on, you know, somebody was just offloading theirs on eBay, and it just jumped right in. And it was right around that $60 mark, and it came with two extra games.
Here's the one thing too that I think people need to know about the original white handheld, and it would be the same thing with the black one. That those were like first generation, and like there was I think it was at some point last year where they improved it and they came out with a better D-pad that wouldn't like break, because that's like the exact issue that I had with my. That's like the exact issue that I had with mine. So I don't know how long Blaze like honors warranties for stuff, but that's something to keep in mind. Like if you are going to get the white one, I would get it new. Like get it from someplace reputable like Funstock or VGA Plus, because then you know it'll probably be like the 2nd generation.
In order to have Blaze take care of your Evercade stuff, I think you have to buy it from Funstock. I don't think, because if you buy it from Amazon, you'll have to go through the Amazon return process.
Yes.
Video Games Plus is good. You know,
I don't know. Yeah, I can't speak for that.
Our Canadian brothers and sisters of the North, you know, I've never had any issues with.
I mean,
or Funstock either.
So my like ultimate question back to the person that says like which one, it really always comes down to like, are you the party game person when you talk about retro, or are you like the more secluded person when it comes to retro? Because if you're the party game person, like, you know, like I want to throw down with friends and you know, play around the television like I used to when I was a kid, then you're getting a VS because it's so much easier, right? You get the VS, you plug it in the TV, you got the 4 USB ports, you can basically plug in almost anything that's a USB controller and it's gonna work. So you don't even need to get extra controllers. You plug it in and you're playing. You're done, right? And you can actually have like the remix thing. The VS has the 2 card slots, so you can put in 2 collections. You've got, you know, up to 40 games at that point. You know, and then you're rocking and rolling for a great night of gaming fun, right? So if you're that person, that's exactly where I would you know, put you in line. But if you're in, you know, like, oh, I just, you know, I want to play some RPGs, you know, and I like playing this other thing, but no one around me plays retro games. I just kind of want to do my own thing. You know, at that point, the conversation starts to steer back towards, well, do you want to play some on the go? You know, do you like only play at home, or would you rather like, oh, well, I've got some time on a break, or I commute, you know, to work or whatever. You know, then the handheld comes in, and you know, with obviously its portability and all of its other features, the EXP almost bringing directly in parity with the VS. You know, the EXP becomes a better choice at that point for me.
Well, let's not forget also that if you have the handheld, you can still hook it up to a TV and play.
Yeah, but you can't do 2-player though. I totally forgot about that.
You lose the multiplayer, and you lose the ability to use any controller you want.
Yeah. So there are some trade-offs, and they're priced competitively because the premium. Well, I'm going to say, of course, in U.S. dollars because that's where we live. But like the premium pack, and this is not with any sales. The premium pack with the 2 controllers, you get like Burger Time and Technos Arcade is like $130. So that's like the perfect party games. And then the EXP, it's $150 with the Topolin collection and Capcom. So it's like just for $30. So it's difficult, right? Because for $20 more, you get that. And does that include the carrying case too?
It depends on where you're buying it from.
Okay, because I've heard people say that. Like, I got the one with the keychain. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought that.
Yeah, because Funstock has like two different methods of purchasing the EXP. There's the one that comes with the case, and then there's one that comes with just the keychain, I think. And it's 2 different price points. I want to say it's £20 difference, I think. Or a full house with not as many TVs. Handheld's the way to go in that situation. Absolutely, Skeletrax. That's a great point. Because sometimes screen time is hard to find in some households. Especially when they're really busy. I kind of know a little bit about that, which is the reason why I do have so many of these handhelds, because when I want to play and something's going on the TV, somebody else is watching a show or whatever, my oldest will come over and see like, oh, well, you're playing the Evercade. Can I play the Evercade? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to give it up? And they're like, oh, no, I want to keep playing my game.
Is that a mini keyboard?
Right?
It works.
With the VS?
That's awesome.
You know what's funny is I didn't think a keyboard would work on the VS, because if you go the map with the controller and it says push a button on your controller to map it, nothing will show up on a keyboard. But if you go into a game, it works anyway.
Well, the keyboard works?
Yeah, this is a keyboard and mouse combination, wireless. It's working on the Evercade right now.
Like you can type, the type of name you can.
No. It's not like you could type. It's already have some kind of button mapping to the keys. All I know is that the enter button is start pause, like a start button. Yeah. I don't know what buttons are to like the A and the B or whatever.
Oh, okay. It'd be cool if it had like the WASD keys automatically mapped and you can use that to.
Oh no. That's it. That's one of them is A. A is one button. I've got Brainbender in here, so I'm rotating the mirror one way.
Got it.
But the fact that it works, though, that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, well, you know what? There's another point for the VS. If you're a person that loves to just experiment with stuff, the VS is just so cool because you can just like, hey, let me just, what does this work?
Oh, yeah.
And just plug random things into it.
What's funny is like
the secret menu. You know what? The secret menu.
Yeah.
We don't know if we're getting that on the EXP, but they might have different ecosystems and different game unlocks. Like, that's the other.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's the other thing too. Like, VS has Game of the Month, where we don't know about EXP. We know EXP is going to have, it has the EXP menu, which implies maybe more than just the built-in Capcom collection that's in there. Another factor, if you're in for the Capcom, right? If you're here watching this program and you're like, I saw Ryu and I want the Evercade now. Well, you have to get the EXP for now, because that's only the Capcom collection is only going to be on the EXP for now. So that's the other factor. But the fact that it's just the EXP menu, I think it implies that there's the Capcom collection and there'll be another box where it'll be like the secret menu or your unlocks or maybe even Game of the Month or something like that.
You want to hear something funny? It is
What's
literally the A and B buttons on the keyboard.
That's awesome. And that's weird because they're so weird on like the A button and the B button on the keyboard is like, it's like in the middle of the keyboard and all the way in the left.
You can't remap it because it won't unless I hit A or B in that menu. I don't know.
So what's interesting is so there's a game on the Mega Cats 2 collection called Ranu's Tale. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Ronius or whatever.
That initially it came out and Evercade gave a card. There was a whole controversy over this. Me and Pete had like opposite like strong feelings, which is funny. But anyways, like they said that hey, the game isn't complete. It's a demo, and that was because the developer that was like on a Kickstarter or some Indiegogo. It wasn't done. But when finally they had the full version, the ROM, before people could get like the physical NES copy, Evercade had an update. Yes, you had to have a VS and it was updated, but now with the EXP, it should solve that problem. So they did. It was like 6 months, but they did follow through with their promises, and so it is neat how these carts can be updated.
Yes.
After after the fact. So
yeah, it is really cool.
So they definitely they don't forget. It's not like, hey, we're just going to dump this, so that they follow through. Now they do need to do the same thing for Atari One, but I think with the Atari, I think it's different because I think there's licensing involved. Where Atari said, hey, that's what we gave you. We're not going to change it. It could be. I'm making up stuff, but it could be that we're not going to change it unless you guys pay more, because that's that's. It kind of is a weird thing, because when you're talking about Atari One, Atari Arcade One, and that Asteroids game, that did seem a little weird, and the fact that it's still not, it's not corrected now. What is it? Almost a year out, right, of the cartridge release. It definitely has to be. There's got to be some kind of back end licensing weirdness going on, because as soon as they had Roano's Tale, as soon as they had that new ROM, it was like the next week they had the update. So there's got to be something going on back there.
Which ones haven't been updated? Are you saying the Atari ones, or
Atari Arcade One?
Okay.
Asteroids Deluxe.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 2 years ago, like Atari Collection One. You can't play Steeplechase because it's a paddle game. And,
that's right.
Yes,
that is true. That is very true.
Oh my God, we forgot to talk about the most cool. Thank you, Douglas. The coolest thing is that the save states are on the carts themselves. Yes. So that way, whether you have the handheld or you have the VS, they go with you. So if you buy both,
I
can't believe we forgot that.
Yeah, that is a good way of having your ecosystem, that the saves are actually on the cart for sure. Because then you don't have to worry about cloud saves, right? That was the thing about Vita. You could get 2 games of the same type, one on PlayStation 3 and one on Vita. But when you played, you actually had to sync your save back up to the cloud using your PlayStation Plus account in order to actually have your game progress go between games. So
I'm not gonna lie, I like cloud saving, because there's a game I have on my phone that's also on Steam. And whether or not I jump on one or the other, I'm in the same place. It doesn't matter where in the game I am.
So I mean, I guess it's like it is cool. It is a cool feature, but it's not like you're gonna have the same game digitally on both systems with Evercade, because you have the cart,
exactly.
Right? So, but all right, cool. So this has been a absolutely bonkers chat. Thank you. It's been an awesome thing. I know that some of us have the age-old hard stop. So I want to just put this out there, though, because everybody's been watching, and everyone that watches on replay, let's keep this conversation going, right? For all those new people that are coming into Evercade, have questions, are looking for advice, answers, all sorts of stuff. Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Put it in the chat. Show up next week. I think in our Q&A segments towards the end of the show, we don't have time for that today. But in all of our Q&A segments, all the way up through the release of EXP and beyond, we'd happy to be chatting with you about all this stuff. So get those questions ready. Show up next week and beyond, and throw stuff in the comments section, and we'll pull them back and talk with you guys about these, because I don't know about you guys, but I thought this was pretty cool.
So is it fair to say we're going to do a part 2?
This might be a part 2, because
I like
you know
that.
what?
Yeah, I think this
is a really good. I think this has been a really cool thing. So right before we go, anyone want to Oh yes! Oh, I got called out.
I know.
We did promise the story of Bacon Ice Cream Productions, and that will have to wait, because we did run up on time. But thank you for reminding me. It will happen. And you know what? What better day to do that? What better day to do that and explain everybody what's going on with Bacon Ice Cream Productions than October 1st? I wonder why. I'll leave you guys all in suspense on that. But for now, let's go into final thoughts. Tom asked. Let's go.
Promises are made to be broken.
No. All
Ooh.
right, it'll
Well,
happen. It'll happen
you
now.
could be like, actually, he's not breaking the promise because the episode isn't over because it'll be a 2-part episode. I don't know.
Boom. Thanks for that out.
The power of the comic book guy like came into
But
me.
It's all just one big, giant, long episode.
it is. So there we go. Ed, final thoughts before we go.
Dude, no, this has been awesome. I hope people have gotten something out of it, and like you said, comment and again, I do really appreciate all the support that people have done. Checked out my channel, checked out my shorts. I'm glad that you all like like the weirdness and the little things, and I do that and legally Ed. Oh, and so one thing that I thought to wrap up to bring a community. So here's one of the things that I love about the community, and I'll mention this for Skeletrek. So I put out a video comparing like the Centipede versions and all that, and he commented and said that like, hey, like your video made me actually want to, I haven't really played the Atari collection, but your video made me want to go out and I played all those different ones and I like the arcade version the best. So that made me, for me, that's like what our YouTube channels are about. Like if we can inspire somebody to discover a game or discover something they haven't played before, like that, that makes me feel good. So
awesome times.
Yeah,
awesome times. And don't forget to go over there and check out all the new things that are going to be coming out over on the Evercade Effect, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Crow, what's up? What you got? You built a new machine.
Mayo days.
That's all I got. I got nothing.
You just built a new machine, right? Yeah, that's a
Oh
thing.
yeah, I did. I built a new machine, got a new car battery. I basically built, I extended and built more of this around so I could have more stuff around here. But yeah, I mean, I could switch the camera if I could remember how to do that.
I was going to say Ballistic Copy, but the fruit and veggies, that's Rich's third channel that no one knows about.
Nice. Oh, wait, what happened?
Yes,
There he is. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Crow in the machine. It's very cool.
I had to take this apart, so I upgraded it while I was at it.
It's an inside look.
I just hope you let out Crow and Tom Servo there every day so they can get some exercise. I hope they're guardians and not prisoners.
There's plenty of
Just
room
throwing
for
it
them
out
to
there.
run in there.
That's
It's
too
like
cool.
that's like really we find out that they're like connected up to it, and that's what powers their psychic energy powers the device.
I mean, the fact that there's like that little like LCD screen in your machine that has like a little.
Well, yeah, a lot of coolers actually have that now.
Dude, it kind of does look like the
That's
TARDIS.
awesome.
Yeah,
That is so cool. That's
Crow in the
rad.
shell.
Crow in the shell. I mean, I'm all about it. That is rad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're back up and running. And,
Yeah, I had to get back up and running by the end of day on Sunday because otherwise I would have been forced to actually use the computer that work gave me.
Yeah, that's you can't have that. You got to have the cool machine for sure.
Oh, man.
So, and then if as far as us goes here on the bacon ice cream side of things, again, RMAs. You know what? RMAs or no RMAs, I'm gonna put something out. I don't know what it's gonna be. It might not be the Evercade arcade stuff. Maybe something cool happen in news. I don't know. I'm gonna hook up something to something, and then I'll put something out. That's what my promise to you is. I will put something out between now and next week. But then next week I also promise, because again,
all you need is a phone.
Perfect day. What a perfect day to do it. We will get to that bacon ice cream story on October 1st. 100%. So thank you, Dan Nasick. That's an awesome. Love you guys. Love all you guys in the chat. Welcome everyone that is new. Please hit the likes, hit the subscribe, hit the links down below too. Because in part 2, we got to talk about those links and actually get in depth about like other cool places to go that aren't just here to get some really awesome Evercade stuff. So, and if you want some sneak previews, check out those links because they're awesome times. But until then, we will catch you guys next week for another fantastic Evercast. Thank you so much again. See you later.